Many investors like to hold properties for rental income because it requires minimal attention and is pretty safe investment in Singapore's context. Tenants help to pay for landlords' installments, and landlords only need to check their bank accounts once a month to ensure that the rents come in on time. However, we occasionally do see cases of terrible tenants making life miserable for landlords. I dealt with a lot of rental cases, and I have my fair share of horror tenants in the past. But I have learned from my lessons, and now I have relatively pain-free tenancies from my clients. Watch this video to learn about 5 often overlooked red flags of horror tenants which I picked up over the years of experience. Hi everyone, I'm Kai. Welcome back to my channel. The common and easy way most people filter tenants is by assessing their profile, where they come from, their age, their profession, etc. If the profile fits, they will show the place and proceed to close the case with the first prospect who can meet the closing price. But this is just the first step of filtering the tenants. We have seen so many cases where the tenant's profile are good but end up trashing the place. So, it is very important to get to know the tenant better and know their personality before signing any tenancy agreement. Often, it is only during the negotiation of the rental rates and the tenancy terms when there are more interactions and we can get to know the tenant better and see their true colours. Those problematic tenants will exhibit some common traits. If you discover any of these personality traits during negotiation, please stay as far away from this tenant as possible. Be brave and walk away. It is really worth the extra effort to negotiate with another better tenant. Point 1. One major red flag is when the tenant bargains very hard. What do I mean by this? Bargaining is part of the normal process to secure tenants. But, as experienced agents, we will know when the tenant is able to pay more based on what they say. If a tenant tried to push the landlord hard, even when we know that the current price is within the tenant's acceptable range, this is a major red flag. These people obviously can pay for the small difference, but they try just every possible means to win in a negotiation. These people are very calculative, and once we take these tenants, they will really want to take advantage of the landlord as much as they can, and we can expect many verbal fights in the future from these competitive tenants. Point 2. In some cases, when it's time to talk about what is the tenant's responsibility in taking care of the house, some tenants will say very blunt things like, "I'm not going to do this or that," instead of being more polite and say, "Is this supposed to be the tenant's or the landlord's responsibility?" Tenants who behave in a formal manner are generally very self-centered, and their life revolves around themselves, the I. And they'll often be very unreasonable just to make sure that their interest is covered. I had cases where these type of tenants will always push damage to the property to fair wear and tear. They will deny responsibility unreasonably and threaten lawsuit if the landlord wants to deduct the deposit to make good the damages. If what you saw so far is helpful, it will help me tremendously to like and subscribe to my channel, so that the algorithm will push this video to more people like yourself. Point number 3. If you are renting a landed house and the prospective tenants say that they do not want a live-in helper as they are not comfortable with a stranger staying in the house, this is a major red flag. First, without a live-in helper, there is no way the tenant will be able to maintain a huge standard house with a part-time helper who visits twice a week. Secondly, living with a stranger requires compromise. If the tenant finds it hard to live with a helper, there is a good chance they will not have the aptitude to compromise and get along well with the landlord either. Point number 4. When negotiating the terms of the tenancy agreement, some tenants will repeatedly assure that they will take care of the house, but keep refusing to write down the responsibilities in detail, like taking care of the garden on the tenancy agreement. These are the types of shrewd tenants to avoid, because when it's time to hand over the unit back to the landlord, and there is any arguments, they will try all means to talk and wiggle their way out of any agreed responsibilities. Point number 5. If you ever find out that the tenant saw 20 to 30 houses before shortlisting your units, you can be sure that the tenant is very fussy, and they will make many demands to the landlord according to their whims after moving into the house. Please stop any negotiation and move on to the other prospects to save yourself from sleepless nights. Most of the time, tenants try to present a good front, but with experience, it is not too difficult to identify these red flags to understand the prospective tenants' undesirable personalities. I hope these pointers I learned the hard way will help you in your property journey. One other important thing to note is that the standard tenancy agreement given by the property agencies are often pretty vague on tenant and landlord's responsibilities. This helps to close the deal faster because there's not much details to discuss during the negotiation. But from my experience, many terms in the standard contracts are ticking time bombs, especially when responsibilities are not clearly defined. This will be argument later when fittings start to break down. So, I always prefer to spend more time and effort to explain the respective parties' responsibilities and make it crystal clear in the tenancy agreement so that my landlord and tenants can have a smooth journey. If you need advice on how to get good tenants at a good price, do feel free to contact me for a chat over coffee, and I will be more than happy to share my experience. Once again, I'm Kai. See you soon.